Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of Talk Exchange. Today, we are celebrating some anniversary clubs, and we have two guests whose clubs are celebrating anniversaries that are kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum. We have Stephen Turner, who is celebrating a 1-year anniversary, and Julie Moncrief, who's celebrating a 100-year anniversary. Both very impressive in their own right. So Stephen and Julie have a really fun conversation with Tracy and Christy all about their favorite memories, plans for the future, and some advice for both new clubs and well-established clubs alike. So hope you enjoy today's episode, and we'll see you again next week.
Welcome to Talk Exchange. I'm Tracy Edwards, CEO of the National Exchange Club.
And I'm Christy Lindahl, Director of Communications.
Hi, Christy.
Hey, Tracy. It's been a minute.
I was just thinking that as I kind of hesitated to start. We haven't been in the studio a while since before the holidays. Now we're into the new year, 2025. I hope it started off great for everybody. I know we were talking with our guests about the snow in different parts of the country, and we're expected to get that Arctic blast next week. So hopefully those of you listening are in a warm area of the country or huddled down listening to us in front of the fireplace with something warm in your cup. That sounds lovely too, and very cozy. So we thought we'd kick off the year. There are, we're fortunate to be part of an organization that's been around for coming up on 114 years, right?
114 in March.
Yes. And it's funny, sometimes when people will ask us for something, I'll say, well, we've been doing this for 114 years. We're not the new kid on the block, right? But it's amazing to me how we had clubs all over the country that formed relatively quickly in a time when communication was difficult and travel was difficult, and yet clubs popped up all over the country that are more than 100 years old.
Absolutely. When you take the technology out of it,
right?
You go back to old school technology, which is what, mailing letters, phone calls, that sort of thing. It is insane if you think about the boom that we had.
Right. So today we thought we'd do something fun, and we're going to talk with the club, a club that's turning 100 years old, that's celebrating their 100th anniversary soon, and with a club that's celebrating 1 year because, it's so fun to have a club that's brand new and they're still excited because 1 year's not very long, but to achieve 1 year is significant.
It is. And I'll tell you, Julie looks great for 100 years.
Thank you.
Most definitely.
Compliment of the day.
It is fun. You wouldn't believe how many people say that to us. It's kind of funny. So we had to use, Christy had to use it on me. I know, yeah. So we're here today to talk to these two awesome clubs to just find out what an anniversary, whether it's 1 year or 100 years, we love that you're both celebrating it, that you're doing something fun to recognize it and let the community know really the value of having a club in the community. So why don't we just talk about what does this anniversary, whether it's 1 year, Steve, or 100 years, Julie, what does it mean to you and the club to celebrate this milestone?
Well, for our 100th anniversary, I was thinking about it, and basically it's very important to each of our members, and I know that it's deep in their hearts, this upcoming anniversary, and it gives us all pride and humility. We have many longtime members, and when you're 100, you tend to think back and picture and imagine the hundreds and hundreds of people who have made this club what it is and worked to keep it going, and who've worked to form this bond and this impact on the community. And it's something that gives us all pride, and we're very honored. So I know our upcoming anniversary celebration is going to be really special, not only for our members, but the whole community.
And Julie, would you mind just telling everyone which club you're from?
Yes, this is the Fort Smith Noon Exchange Club in Fort Smith, Arkansas.
All right.
Formed in 1925. So it's so exciting that it's continued. And I could talk a lot about why I think it has. Of course, I haven't been a member for 100 years, even though you said I look good for 100. But just has an amazing history, and I'm hoping that we can capture as much of it as we can in a really special video that we'll be showing to our members and the community and at the special banquet. But it's just kind of amazing because of the impact we have and the bond you see of the members. We're all thrilled.
That's we're thrilled too. That's exciting. And we're equally as thrilled to hear what Steve's thoughts are as a member who's newer to Exchange. And Steve, the Exchange Club of Spring Grove, Pennsylvania is celebrating 1 year. What does that mean to you and the club? Yes, congratulations.
That's a big celebration. That's a milestone.
It is.
So a lot like what Julie was saying is pride. I mean, the bulk of us were the charter members a year ago. We kind of tried introducing ourselves to the community, had a pretty nice kickoff meeting a year ago, and we're trying to recreate that. Because like you were saying, taking that first step is definitely a big milestone, but then continuing. So 100-year track record. We're very lucky that our closest club to us, Hanover, Pennsylvania, big supporters of us as well. I think they've been around about 70 years. And living in this neighborhood all my life, I didn't really know Exchange Club. So it's kind of been exciting for me. And, now that I'm a father and I'm looking to be more involved in the neighborhood, Exchange Club has really helped give me those opportunities. And I think most of us at our club share that same idea. And our goal would be to make our 1 year anniversary celebration coming up here at the end of the month even more of a community thing to get us all known.
Yeah. Yes, I like that. That's awesome. And I love how you talked about being a dad and, just that's when you start thinking about your legacy, right? And how you want your kids to grow up knowing service to the community and involvement. So that's so great.
And you really see a bigger picture of the world, too, when you become a parent. And it makes you want to instill different things.
Absolutely. So thinking about this year, Steve, and Julie talked about the opportunity for people to share memories about their time in the club. And I'm looking forward to hearing that from Julie. But so what's your best memory or a couple of your favorite memories from the past year of being in Exchange?
It's a great question. We had some great local events. I always say we're kind of like the volunteers in the shadow. There's been many different things, whether it's been some of the United Way events, the local senior center has had some events, and we've kind of been like the manpower behind the scenes that have made all that possible. So that's been very, very exciting. Something that, again, I think most of us in our club really take pride in that. But we'd love more of the neighbors, more of the community at large to know, oh, okay, so Exchange Club helped with that. Well, what is this Exchange Club? Because we're also in a territory where, again, we've got the Hanover Club 70 some years, but we're making it 1 year. And other than that, you've got to travel quite a distance to find another Exchange Club. So there's a lot of us that feel like, well, there's a lot riding on us that hopefully as our club flourishes, then perhaps others can form a little bit closer than another state away.
Sure. That's a great goal.
Yeah, that partnership building, that relationship building is key to longevity. So, what you've done over the past year is important in that regard. Yeah, and we have great ideas about how to put your name out there if you want to go ahead and give our marketing department a call. We'll put you in some shirts. I was
thinking the same thing, and the chamber and all of that. But I like that you're getting out there and partnering with these organizations because that's key, and letting them know, hey, the Exchange Club is here. You can count on us. Here's what we do. So that can only grow, and I'm sure they see great value in having that club there. So that's awesome.
Sure, and the recruitment is just natural when you build partnerships.
So, Julie, when we were talking initially, you talked about the past presidents sharing their memories and their history. And what's something that maybe stood out to you that you heard, or something for you personally, based on your experience in exchange?
Well, it has been fun. Our past president history highlight that we're doing at meetings, and it's just a precious time to see a member who may have, been a member since the 60s to have done a little research to remember certain things and to talk about them, and to hear where our club met. We meet on a Friday and have lunch, and so that means you've got to find a place that your club can afford and that will accept you and that your members can pay for. And so we've been a lot of different places. We started back in the 20s, I guess, at the elegant Goldman Hotel.
Okay.
And it was on Garrison Avenue. We're an old West town right next to Indian Territory. And so we were a big manufacturing company, and it was full of businessmen, and often of men and their sons. It was a real kind of family oriented thing, except all men. And now we've gone from the Goldman Hotel to the Golden Corral, but it's okay.
It's all golden, though. It doesn't matter.
Right?
Yeah, that's right. And just to hear them and have them recall the details of the same traditions that the club holds today. Everything they said was familiar, whether it was the board working together on projects or when they meet and trying to recruit new members, and just the bonds that were formed, funny memories. So listening to them, one of the best things is just that they treasure the same traditions that we do today. And I think that's a part of the strength of the Fort Smith Noon Exchange Club, that it's we haven't changed the way we conduct the meetings. They're exactly the same every time, and we've had our service projects from the 1940s, and just really everything, the way the board worked together, and just the wonderful gifts that the club provides to individuals. To hear our gentleman from long ago stand up and talk about that has been really a treasure. And they've had fun stories. Of course, one stood up and then he said, "I think I recall that we also had stag parties, but we can't talk about that."
I've heard that about the Fort Smith Club. Yeah.
I'm going to Google stag parties. I don't know what that is.
But I think I bet it was very interesting to hear some of those personal stories, though, about what exchanges meant to them outside of just the community picture. How you've kept them engaged for 60 some years.
Well, it's such a strong emotional connection for people, and that's really what keeps people around, and that's why that first anniversary is so important. But I know I think a lot about when I go to club anniversary events, I think about, wow, the people who have been longtime members, 40, 50, 60.
Yep.
We've met people who've been in exchange for 70 years, literally. And I remember a gentleman that I met, and, that club meets every week. And so every week for 70 plus years, he's been doing this with this group of people, with this focus and intention. It's just woven into the fabric of his life, which is so amazing. I think a lot about our founder, Charles Berkey, and what he would think, to think that he built something and started something that is still in business across the country.
Oh, giving out hundreds of thousands of dollars in various communities. And the vision that he had, I'm sure, wasn't anything close to what we've been able to accomplish.
Amazing, though, amazing. So thank you for carrying it on. So, Steve, talk about the plans you have for
the first of your anniversaries leading up to 100.
Sure. Yeah. So our first year anniversary is going to kind of start, or I should say, our first year anniversary is going to kind of go back to where we started. We were in the senior center. They have a nice little theater there. So we're going to have kind of like a little presentation, some of the things we've accomplished for the year. course, we're inviting all of the neighbors, everybody in the community come out. And that's actually how I found, the Spring Grove Club in the first case. I mean, I went involved from day one. I was a charter member, but I made it just in that last
Good.
day of the first month. But by going to their kickoff event, they put it on Facebook. It kind of sounded very appealing. I'm like, what's that? Exchange Club, never heard of it. So our one goal would be to kind of get that same sort of curiosity sparked and invite the
Yes.
community out. And then this case, now we'll be able to say, hey, and by the way, look at what we've accomplished this year.
Yes.
Because again, there's so many things that we have touched on through, the other organizations and helping them that, not that we're doing it because it's fulfilling, but there certainly hasn't been a whole lot of credit given to Exchange Club. Thinking back to one of the things we're most proud of, our probably most successful event here was just not long ago, beginning of December. We participated in Reefs Across America.
Yes.
And we were actually able to bring a pretty successful Reefs Across America to our local cemetery here in Spring Grove. It was the first year that Reefs Across America has been to Spring Grove, and the turnout and the participation, it really did catch some people like, hey, who helped sponsor this? Who helped put this and arrange this? And our goal would be to build on top of the success of that event and be able to do more and more in the community.
That's awesome. You got people curious about that event, and they'll seek you out now.
So when you talk about, finishing the year with that great success, I'm sure your club has discussed your plans moving into your second year, which I imagine also includes, growth and getting your name out there more. So do you want to tell us a little bit about what you think your second year is going to be?
Oh, sure. Yep. In fact, we just had our meeting a week ago. First week meeting of 2025, and kind of we're explaining, okay, these are the service projects each month we're going to try to work on. The first year kind of felt like we were almost behind the ball, like, hey, 4 weeks from now is this, we should do something. Now it's like, hey, look, now we've got a plan all the way through the entire year.
Excellent.
So we can tell you, hey, this coming October, this is what we're going to work on. So we're not necessarily, working on it in September for October. It's being worked on now. Some of those details, or some of our biggest initiatives, are, again, we're going to continue the scholarships and everything like that, but also try to introduce ourselves to more businesses that are in the area in hopes of helping to support them, but also seeking, some sponsorship opportunities from them to help our club. That's a huge difference between some of these clubs that have been around for decades and us, is you can look at, okay, well, how much of a budget do they have versus how much of a budget do we have? And again, a lot of that's just because they've got 70, 100 years worth of activity, kind of momentum propelling them forward. And we, of course, hope to get there, but starting out, it's made it more difficult. But at the same time, I think most of our club members would say it's also made it a little bit more fulfilling to be able to do such a thing too.
Sure. Well, you don't get to 100 years unless, people like you are on the ground, Steve, building that legacy. So, and Julie, in the same turn, as you go into your 101st year, how are you guys planning for the next year?
We plan to continue our wonderful traditions, which are many. Our meeting, number one, is a tradition that I think makes us unique in our area. Not only do we open with our ceremonial invocation and pledge, and I even like to think about that many people in one private room saying the Pledge of Allegiance every week together. But the big thing is that we have a wonderful speaker every time from the community, and I think that that's one of our favorite parts of our club. Besides the long-term service projects, it's exchange is a way to exchange ideas by being aware of the community, and so our president-elect is always program chair and works to provide that many speakers, one every Friday from the community, representing business or healthcare or unique nonprofits or city departments and first responder departments. So I know that we'll always continue that, and if more people knew how informed you could be by our speakers every week, I think the whole city would join. I just think it's great. It's a great Friday afternoon date, and you can get up on things and then do good deeds at the same time and make friends. So we will continue our Golden Deeds banquet. We're getting ready to have our 82nd, and the community is very aware of this. We open the nominations to the whole community. We have a nomination form, and it goes out every way we can get it out, radio and TV PSAs and magazine ads and our website and social media. That's just a wonderful program that pulls the community together as we celebrate someone who kind of behind the scenes most often has worked tirelessly to benefit their community. And so that's a program we'll continue, as well as our annual luncheon to recognize the first responders. And we have a long time relationship with the chiefs of the police and fire department and EMT, and they know that we'll be calling each year, and they submit their employee of the year, and we order the plaques from the national office and just have a wonderful program that people love to attend, to hear the firsthand stories of why these people are heroes. And we will continue our Girls Inc. Service project. It was begun in 1947, I believe. And so it's kind of funny how that began. It was an all-male club, but they had a speaker who was a woman, and she was in charge of the girls' club, is what it used to be called. And she told about this camp that was going on then, and it really helped less fortunate girls whose family wouldn't be able to afford this fabulous summer camp out of town, and which they learn things and just enjoy life in a beautiful setting. And the woman said, I'll tell you what, I'll auction my hat right now. And she had a big fancy hat on, and the members loved it so much, and they loved the program she presented, why it's important and what it does for those girls every year who can attend. And they voted to make that our main service project that comes out every year, and they voted to do it out of their own pockets. And so that does not include a fundraiser. So we began in April talking about it and getting everyone excited, and then before the camp in July we present a check, and it's probably been bigger than before once we had 200 members, but still we're able to give a good gift that sends a lot of girls to that camp. So we'll always continue that. We'll continue our partner in education service project. The members, each year we get a list of children and what they'd want for Christmas, and each member turns into a major Santa Claus. We can barely carry all the loads of gifts wrapped beautifully into the school. And then we provide a mountain of new tennis shoes to the school in various sizes each year at the beginning. And
you know what I'm hearing, Tracy? Relationship building, relationship maintaining, that sort of thing.
Well, yes, that's amazing, and I'm just thinking
we love those.
About that's a lot of projects that she's named already. But you know what hits me from what Julie is saying is the Noon Exchange Club of Fort Smith is the club to join if you want to know anything about that community, get involved in the community.
Get busy,
so if you're listening and you're in Fort Smith, so Steve, let's take this back to you. I wanted to talk about two. We have a lot of new clubs. In fact, just last month we had 3 new clubs come into our network. What do you have to say to them? They're looking at probably clubs like yours in Spring Grove and saying, "Wow, they just reached a 1 year milestone." What advice do you have for a new club?
So a couple bits of advice, I guess. One, do what you and your members enjoy doing. That's part
Yes.
of the point of doing it. And then two, do what you're comfortable with. What I mean by that is, again, we've had another club nearby, Hanover, who has a very long and honored tradition in the area and accomplishes many projects. And we're like, oh, well, we need to do this and we need to do that. And
Right.
they're doing this, we should be doing it. Let's do that over here on our side of town. And again, we could have easily bit off more than we could chew. We finally kind of, thanks to some of our other leadership, and we're able to say, hey, look, we're comparing ourselves to them. Maybe we can kind of pick and choose here and focus on maybe a few less events, but make each one a little more impactful and more successful. And then as the years go by, we can bring on those other projects. So if I were to offer any advice to any other new club out there, it'd be like, this is something that, again, like you said, Exchange has been around for a long, long time. So it doesn't all have to be done this year.
Right.
Amen. Yes.
Pace yourself, because the goal is not to be here for 1 year or 5 year. It's to be like Julie's club or others and have 100 years or more history to them.
Well, that's great advice, and I love how you keep referencing the Exchange Club of Hanover, truly a dynamic, awesome club. But I like, too, that your club realizes, we need to carve out our own way, and that's really the beauty of exchanges, that's what we encourage clubs to do. Find out your need in the community, your capacity for your club, and then go do those things. So you're off to an awesome and admirable start. So, Steve, thanks to you and everybody in Spring Grove. And Julie, what advice do you have for clubs who say, we're close to 100 years, or we want to
get
we
there?
want to get there. How do we do that? What advice do you have for those clubs?
Well, I think our board, our tradition of having a 8-member board who meets monthly, and you work up the steps to become president, plays an important role, and that is to be committed to looking at everything the club is doing and to help it keep going, and to be aware of its members and recognize its members and help its members see the good that they're doing, and continue to try to recruit. Our club, and to make it fun.
Yes.
We do have a lot of fun. We have a 50-50 ticket sale that starts off after everyone's about finished with lunch, and that's just a time of camaraderie. 2 different members will sell the tickets and go from table to table and trade a ticket for $1, and then someone gets half of it, of course. And we celebrate birthdays. At the end of the month, the members stand up and give their whole birthday, and we put their names in a bowl, and one person is drawn to win a Chick-fil-A gift certificate or something. But keep it fun, and then treat your new members well and try to get them involved or have them speak, and then to try to keep growing. And so we have a few younger members, and I'm so grateful for them, and they are interested in the club and interested. Their goal is to have a little bit more community presence with more service projects, and they do love the ones we're doing, but want to get out there a little bit because they have businesses and they like this networking part. So we're working to listen to them and come up with some things. We are beginning one new service project. It is kind of behind the scenes, but it's the ACE scholarship, because we're adopting a new fundraiser that I don't know, it'll get you out in the community a little bit, but we have a connection with a rib smoker, baby back ribs, and the club is going to sell hundreds of them and raise a little money for a scholarship. But going forth, just to pay attention to our members and get to know them and make it worth it, and try to grow. With social media is important, and to give people attention. So we do have a good, very helpful social media person who also emails the club each week and puts a Facebook up each week about the next speaker. And we take the speakers, pictures and then put them on Facebook. And everybody should know about us and want to come.
Well, you are right about
Julie,
that.
yeah.
That's great advice, all of it. So I hope that clubs listening, no matter where you are in your cycle of service, I hope that you take this advice from Steve and Julie and the Exchange Club of Spring Grove and the Noon Exchange Club of Fort Smith to heart and really learn from these great examples. And thank you to both of you, and congratulations. You both represented your clubs and Exchange with excellence. I'm so excited that we had you today, because I don't think we could have had anybody better.
No, I don't think so. I want to point out one thing that Julie said. Julie said they're listening to their new members.
Yes.
So your club continues to grow with your membership and the demographics of your community.
And
I'll leave it at that. Thank you for sharing that, Julie.
Absolutely. Well, thanks to both of you for joining us on this episode
Thanks
of Talk Exchange. And if you would like to learn more about Exchange, please visit nationalexchangeclub.org. And thanks for tuning in to this episode about our milestone anniversaries in Spring Grove, Pennsylvania, and Fort Smith, Arkansas. Thank you, Julie and Steve.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Wow, you two
Thank you.
were fantastic, honestly.
Well, that was fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody listening is going to be so intrigued and interested in Exchange, thanks to both of you.
I mean, the way that you both talked about the same thing from different perspectives is exactly what our members need to hear.
It could not have worked out better.
No. So thank you.
Thank you. And when